Welcome. Wonderful. Okay, so we'll kick off. Thanks very much indeed to the DeFi team for inviting us all to be here. And I'm really pleased and excited that we've got this panel with Launchpads. My name is Bridget Greenwood. I'm the founder of The Bigger Pie. And The Bigger Pie is looking to make sure that we have gender equity in the space. There's so much going on with blockchain and emerging tech. And we want to see as many people's voices, ideas, innovations represented. So I'm thrilled to have with us today Roxana from Launchpool. Roxana is the head of growth and community at Launchpool. We've got Antoine from Unicrypt, who's the COO there, and you've just had a big reveal, so very exciting. And welcome as well, John Burmeister, the Launchpad Success Manager at YFDAI. Now, DeFi has really exploded in the last year. And so can we set the scene in this 30 minutes to be able to paint the picture of what Launchpads do? What is the problem that they're looking to solve? What are the current challenges crypto projects have? What are the current challenges that investors face? How are Launchpads addressing that? And understanding the different and unique ways that each of you are looking to do that. And then if we've got time, because we've only got half an hour, let's look at what challenges are still being faced and what you see the future looks like. So John, I wonder if you can start, and feel free when each of you have the chance to speak first, to just do a little bit more of an introduction for yourselves. That would be great. So John, we'd love to hear from you. What does the current crypto project funding journey look like in general, and then where is the uniqueness that you have if you go through YFDAI?
For sure. Thanks for having me. Nice to be on this panel with everybody. I think if we look back going to 2017, we've seen ICOs, our initial coin offerings, giving startups tokenized access to services, digital assets, and giving investors a chance to purchase tokens in advance of a launch. Obviously, there were a lot of rug pulls, a lot of scams, a lot of things that didn't pan out. So we saw regulation enforced over the years, and we've gone from security token offerings and more recently to initial exchange offerings, where we see exchanges, taking time to support a project and launching it on their exchange. And most recently, we see a lot of crowdfunding models as well, where we follow the same principle. Startup will create a blockchain network or use an existing blockchain network and create tokens and then distribute them through a token sale. With YFDAI, what we're doing here right now is we allow access to our stakers and farmers, people who have invested with our token, to gain access to pre-sales and strategic rounds with our projects. And so what we do with our projects is we bring them in, they're later stage, and obviously once they've been vetted with us and we KYC them, we put them through a strict framework of getting to know the business, what their market is, what value bring to the ecosystem, and if it's going to be a good investment overall. And how we differ compared to a lot of the market is, we do a lot of audits and security audits that are required and mandatory. We do a lot of legal advice and advisory services like that. So we go really take time to care about the projects and also provide support beyond their initial launch. So, we're, I guess, a 360 accelerator in terms of how we fund projects.
Very interesting. And if you look at the statistics from 2017, back in the heyday of the ICO days, there was a report that said from this status group published in July 2018 that said that 78% of all ICO projects were scams. Mm-hmm. Of the 22% that remained, 7% failed and 15% went on to be listed by exchanges. So there's clearly not just a need for the projects themselves to be given support, but also for the investors as well. And there are a number of issues that investors can face. Roxana, what is it that Launchpool are doing in terms of protecting investors? And I think when we were talking before, you were talking about the term of egalitarian investment. What does that look like?
Yes. So Launchpool is a pre-IDO platform, an investment instrument that opens up to open finance and DeFi and protocols. We have private seed guaranteed allocations for investors on the same terms, conditions, and investing schedules as the funds have. So this opens up the community to the potential of being an investor themselves and being a force, right, that dictates, as opposed to what we've seen, as John mentioned before, this rug pulling and pump and dumping, right? So we found a way to address that, and the way we define ourselves through the egalitarian investment mantra is that we create equal opportunities for both whales and smaller investors to get a portion of the pie, and just to abide to the same rules and regulations. We are regulatory compliant. So you do have to KYC, and we just hit 10,000 KYC participants. And on average, we have around between 1,000 and 2,000 wallets participating in our allocation mining events, which are basically this mechanism of staking your LPOL token and mining a percentage of the allocation available for that staking pool, and then paying up. So for us, it's very important that we ensure that we have this equilibrium between the bigger investors and the smaller investors.
And because this is such a nascent technology, it's already got its own language. Would you mind if we just went through some of the terms that you've used and explained what they were? So I mentioned ICO before, which was initial coin offerings that happened in 2017. And there's been a lot of issues regarding whether the SEC and other regulators define them as something that was a securities, which you've all spoken about in previous conversations. So what's an IDO, and how does that differ from what we've got with an ICO? And what does regulation around that look like, Roxana?
So IDO, obviously we're looking around decentralized exchanges right now, which are much harder in terms of adoption and users. I think Uniswap has reached millions, if not billion of trades so far. Sorry, I don't have the exact data, but it's around, I know for sure there's like over 1 million active daily trades, and this was around February, so I'm assuming this has grown, because you have less barrier entries there, and so it's easier for people to just connect their MetaMask or their wallet of choice and just start trading. Right now we have this whole fragmented, so to speak, process where you have these private deals done typically before you reach a launch pad, and then you have the public IDOs where you need to whitelist and you're put on a waiting list. There's kind of a lottery going on to get into it, and for us that didn't seem fair. So what we did is we said, okay, we don't charge a fee for your project to get on Launchpool. It's really good. We really like you. If you like what we're seeing, if you pass the audits and so on, we'll onboard you. And then you'll have the opportunity to just offer your token at the same price that you offered to fund. And then, as I said, anyone can participate.
Wonderful. And Antoine, I know that with Unicrypt, you have your unique way of looking at what services that you're providing. So you've just had your big reveal. Can you tell us the journey that you've had from inception to where we are today and what that journey looks like for Unicrypt?
All right. That's kind of tough because we could have this panel for hours. Could be very long, but I will try to summarize it a bit, because indeed we started a year ago with it's kind of an experimental approach, because it was just a service deployed back then, and the service was namely the liquidity lockers. So it was one of the first mechanics to prevent rug pulls, especially in the DeFi space for projects listing on Uniswap or nowadays PancakeSwap on different chains, whatever. So yeah, we had this first this first service, like this MVP, with a former UI that needed to be changed, with a couple of other things to address in the first service itself. And we took it from there, especially benefiting the community, because the whole story about the project is about the community. Because as mentioned a couple of minutes ago, we have loads of OGs in the community, people that have been here since day one, and that permanently providing feedback, and basically pushing ourselves to develop more as well. And so the feedback helped us a lot to move forward quite fast. To be honest, I think we have a very nice space of development, especially for the size of the team, and that's also a lot by our unique approach, meaning every tool that we put available on the market has a certain product market fit, but the point is it's completely automated, right? So that's also allowing us to spend more time on the development side. But then about the growth of the project itself, it was more about the word of mouth, because we did not really have marketing budgets, especially back then, because as mentioned, it's a self-funded project, so we needed to just breathe. That was the whole point of the project, and we really started to move way faster once we had the multi-chain approach. So once we integrated the services on BSC, Matic, and XDAI, not in this order, but it doesn't really matter. The multi-chain approach was really our next step, and so today is kind of the natural next step moving forward, because we want to accelerate the development, and we also needed to reveal kind of a tribute to the community, right? People have been following us for a while, and so for us it's very important to show that we're actually not cyborgs or whatever, but actually real humans and developers behind the project. So yeah, right now it's like we started from the experimental project, to circle back on the question, and now we're moving into an established company. We're registered in Europe, and we have a huge team expansion in progress. And of course, something that won't stop anytime soon is developing the products in the same approach that we took since the start. Yeah.
Okay, in that approach, you're totally decentralized. So we've touched on, and we'll go into it more as we go through this panel. There are areas of rug pulls, for example. We haven't actually defined what a rug pull is. Can you explain to those listening what a rug pull is for anyone who doesn't know?
All right, I'll take the chance, because so rug pull is just a term of so historically it's like pulling the rug. So say you are on the rug and someone is just pulling it, so you're falling and you're basically wrecked from the investor standpoint. But the most common rug pull is actually the one that we were fighting against by our first app. So say you're a token developer, you develop token XYZ, you pair it against Ethereum in a Uniswap pool. So you pair token XYZ against Ethereum, then people believe in your IDs, projects. Some even have a public face on products. So then people just purchase the token. So the token is liquid and it can be traded. So it's like everything is normal. And at some point, the malicious developer, or you also have stories about hacks, proxies updated, whatever. But at some point, the liquidity pool is emptied all at once. And so it's leaving investors with the tokens that are not liquid anymore. And obviously, no one is going to fuel the pool anymore, because once this happens, if anyone decides to create a pool again or bring liquidity to a pool, people are just going to try to escape, because they don't have faith anymore in the project. And yeah.
So what is it that your platform offers then for the ecosystem? What does it offer the crypto projects who ultimately crypto projects need three things as far as I see it, and correct me if I'm wrong. One is they need funding if they're not able to self-fund. Two is they need to be able to reach enough audience and marketplace. And three is they'll probably need support as they go through that journey with access to the right sort of mentors. And then we have the investors who need the ability to be able to readily identify projects at early stage, have an opportunity to understand what that project is about and be able to do their own research. And to make sure, to feel confident that they're not investing in something that will be gone the next day, or, through either of just it being a complete scam or through a rug pull. So how does Unicrypt look to be able to address those challenges?
Yeah, that's a very interesting question. Once again, half an hour is not enough to go through that one, but yeah, the point is, because all of our tools are completely decentralized. For example, if I compare to John, what he just talked about, they're vetting the process, or Roxana, they're pushing the projects to do like security audits, KYC, all these additional steps that we don't really require, because at ours everything is going to be done on chain, so you can interact with the tech as anyone could, right? So if you're a genius developer with a super nice product, of course you can do it, and if you are a malicious developer, you can also use it, because it comes, pros and cons of decentralized products. And so on our first, I just want to go back on the first point that you mentioned, because projects not necessarily need a funding round. And I think we're kind of one of, among others, of course, but we're the example of that, because we started with $50 1 year ago. But yeah, on our side, we're really like a tool provider. So we have the IDO platform, which is completely decentralized. You have a project, you have an ID, you can basically create your IDO and raise funds. And then we also have other services gravitating around it. So you're going to have the ability to mint your own token, because we have a token minter that, of course, mint not shady tokens that do not require additional audits. This is very important to mention. And then we have the standalone service liquidity locker. So you're going to lock liquidity in the pool. And so obviously you can't pull the rug, at least by pulling the liquidity. Then you always have shady developers finding new practices with taxes, minting mechanics, proxies, whatever. Well, I won't go through all of them. But then we also have the last one that is related to vesting options. So if you use the whole suite of services, it's going to help you as a project to show that you're actually legit and you're looking to bring innovation rather than cash grabbing people, right? And just before I will finish on that one, we also have external contributors on the platform. So if it was just James and me looking at the project listing and say, oh, so this one looks good, this one looks bad, it won't be sustainable nor scalable. So we have a bunch of whitelisted partners that can contribute to the platform, and I'm referring especially to auditors. So projects can reach out to auditors, get their token contracts audited. We're focusing mainly on the token contracts because that's what's interesting. If you're trying to raise funds, it's obviously the token contract itself that needs to be audited. And then you also have the second part related to the KYC providing. So say you're a complete anonymous developer. Well, we were completely anonymous like 20 minutes ago, and you're willing to raise funds. You can still privately KYC to someone to show that you're also here with a goodwill, right? And if things go wrong, this partner will be able to report you to legal entities, wherever. But point is, this is additional tools that we provide as a service provider to make sure that people can at least be helped while doing their own research through the projects listed on the platform.
So I heard the phrase, and I really like it, radical responsibility, and that's what we get when we're looking at peer-to-peer and blockchain projects and Bitcoin, etc. So it sounds to me like if someone is really into radical responsibility, then Unicrypt is a great place to go and look for opportunities. But not everybody wants that level of radical responsibility, or feels as though they have the expertise or the capabilities to be able to do their own research and be sure of their investments in terms of the legitimacy of them, if nothing else, because nobody can guarantee, of course, whether or not a project's going to have the success that we might want it to when we invest. So John, talk to me about, if we're looking at from more of the traditional sector, you mentioned there that yours is more like an accelerator program. Can you walk us through what it is that the YFDAI accelerator program Launchpad looks like and where it's unique?
For sure. So with YFDAI, we offer expert vetting of early stage blockchain projects, and we provide mandatory smart contract audits by Blockchain Consilium or other top tier third-party projects like Certic. And so what a typical journey with us is, once you go through that strict kind of framework that we have in place and you've gone through a community vote, typical journey is going to look like the first few weeks are going to be, we do the KYC, we create the tokens, and once we create the tokens, they're sent to the YFDAI wallet. Part of what we do to prevent rug pulls is we control the project's funds that they raise through various stages. So whether it's a seed round, a strategic round, a private round even, the US dollar teller that we raise is sent to a YFDAI wallet. And then at that point, what we do is where we create time release smart contracts for these projects, and the tokens are released based on how much is going to marketing, business operations, team release. And so what that'll look like is all the preparation leading up to the pre-sale. we do all the marketing, multi-channel through press releases, influencer AMAs, videos, and then we do and with the pre-sale, our stakers and farmers who've been staking YFDAI for over 30 days gain access to that. They have to whitelist still to say that they want to join, but it's a fair process. There's no gas wars. There's no first come, first served. So for each stage of the funding round, all of the community members get fair access. Not only that, they're protected with the funds that are raised. They know that it's being taken care of and it's safe, and it won't be distributed until token generation event and listing. And then once the tokens are listed on the exchange after the public sale, what we typically do is we provide a 3-month runway of marketing support and advisory services for our projects, because we really want to focus in on that. Their success, it really determines the success of our Launchpad. We're a really small team, so we really pour a lot of ourselves into these projects through marketing support, business support, weekly coaching calls. So we really want to make sure that not only our community is protected with a safe investment, but these projects get the best chance of success in the market.
And Roxana, when it comes to Launchpool, thank you for that, John. When it comes to Launchpool, you mentioned there that it's the ability for the founders themselves to become VCs. Can you talk to us a little bit more about that, what that looks like? And in terms of when someone is looking at doing a project and investing into a project, what happens with regulation? What regulations do people need to be aware of, and what are you able to provide in this field?
Let me know if you can hear me now, because I had some issues with my microphone. You can never fix technology. I swear, we're in 2021, still same issues as 2000, early 2000. So with the way we do it at Launchpool, as I said, is we empower the small investor as well as the bigger size investor to be their own VC, meaning, and in that sense, specifically, aside from Launchpool itself, the platform, what we're doing is we are launching an incubator where the community can take part of projects from day one. So they're there to see exactly like a VC, you know, what's going to happen with the project, development, transparency, meetings, board minutes, anything that is relevant in a company and that you want to show to the community. Because crypto is so much community centric. You're facing everyone. You know, it's a big deal. A lot of companies and a lot of teams that are coming into the space without prior knowledge, you know, they kind of get a bit shocked about, you know, how the community is. But it's also a great place, because if you nurture your community, you can have them not just as speculators of your currency, right? But also as users of your platform, because now most of the tools that we have can be used by the traders as well. So it doesn't segregate like before in 2017, 2018, you had the token and then you had a product and they were not linked one with another. But now you have them all together. So we're really trying to empower the community. It's a long-term experiment, like Antoine. It's all about experiments, because you don't have prior data. You don't know if this is going to work. But I think along with us, there are a couple of companies out there that are community-centric, and they want to focus long-term, you know, and they want to not just enjoy the bull markets, but also the bear markets that cause the bull developments. And, you know, make sure that once we hit the next bull run, we'll have really solid projects, even better quality than now, even more people joining the ecosystem, because this is the only way to grow. Crypto's here to stay.
Absolutely. And what about when it comes to the regulation side of things? What can an investor or what can a crypto project expect realistically in terms of
Obviously, there's a shared accountability between the enabler, which is the Launchpad in this case, right? But also the investors themselves, because you're accountable with the investments that you do. You got to do your own diligence. You got to ask questions. From our side, we offer as much information as possible. We provide articles and we provide, you know, an AMA with the founders, and a lot of transparency, and all the information is out there, the one that you need to know. But if you want to research more than what we can offer, obviously it's open for every person.
And Antoine, it would be lovely to hear how you deal with regulation. Again, what does the Unicrypt offer? What does it not offer? What do people need to be looking out for? Where is there regulations that need to be considered? And interesting to see where we can see perhaps disparities between where you can have the opportunity to trade on certain aspects, but to invest, the regulation at the moment doesn't seem to have caught up with the technology.
Yeah, so about the regulation, so first, ourselves as a platform, as an established company, we're regulated by the country where our company is incorporated. So the platform itself is completely compliant from a legal standpoint. But then, yeah, as we're completely decentralized, that also means that this, legal landscape somehow, or the regulatory landscape, is also depending on each project using the platform. So that means if you are launching a project from country A, country B, or country C, but no matter, because at the end of the day, people are contributing to your project, investing or trading your project are from pretty much can be from any side of the world. It's up to the projects themselves to be compliant depending on where they incorporate and how the regulation looks like over there. But that being said, we still have a feature for these projects that need, for example, to whitelist the participants or to prevent some form of, maximum investment, different rates between listing and ILO price. Well, ILO, this is the slang for Launchpad or pre-sale. So we offer this feature if projects actually need it, and then they can decide to KYC the buyers, whatever, and build a waitlist according to the regulation in place in each and every country. But yeah, as mentioned, as you just mentioned, I think there's still some work that need to happen in the space as a whole, especially when it comes to decentralized products or decentralized coin offerings, because it's kind of a decentralized ICO could be called an ILO, and so then you have some cases where from this country you cannot participate because of this or that, but once it's traded on Uniswap, you can instantly purchase the token. So in my opinion, either there should be some form of alignment, because at the end of the day, a good ILO will, well, this is from our own experience, but a good ILO, as we sometimes face gas wars, this is true at ours, it's going to change soon, but for now we still have some gas wars issues. I'm going to be transparent on that. But point is, in 5 seconds, you're going to have an ILO completely overwhelmed, and once it's listed, people can all trade it. So during 5 seconds, you're not allowed, but then theoretically, everyone is allowed to participate. So that's where we have some question marks, and we're waiting for the regulatory landscape to bring us some news, basically.
Indeed. And John, I think there are 3 types of personas when I have conversations around the DeFi aspect. You have people in the crypto world, you have people who come from traditional finance, and they're all about making sure that you have compliance, and that they come from a really, from that side of things. Then, and they don't really want to move until such time as it's institutionally, it's run in the same way that traditional finance has been run. Then you've got people who are much more like Antoine, who are looking at things as radical transformations, radical responsibilities, and looking at how the tech can allow us to move fast and take responsibility of what we do. And then the third area is we have a much lower barrier to entry for people to come in for investment. And whether you want them to be completely handheld or not given the keys to come in and invest, or if you like a much more free way of doing that, what would you say to people who are looking at Launchpads? What type of a investor persona maybe would the types of Launchpad that YFDAI helps the crypto projects, who would that suit? Oh, you're on mute.
I think for YFDAI, our key user is a user that wants to interact with DeFi in a safe and transparent manner. We have all of our smart contracts audited, our team's KYC'd, a lot of our like our safe swap index, our Launchpad, our staking, our farming. There's a lot of different options for users to interact with DeFi within YFDAI. And so the user that wants to interact with us is something that wants someone safe, right? Something they just click their wallet in, interact with various levels of DeFi. And if they want to take part in private pre-sales, they have not only that, a safe way of doing that, because with our way that we do our pre-sales and our strategic sales is fair launch, no gas wars, everyone gets an allocation of a certain amount, and so everyone can participate in a fair manner, right? So it's someone that's looking for transparency, safety, fairness in the ecosystem, and they can do that all with us.
Wonderful. And same question for you, Roxana. In terms of the investors, who do you think that you really sort of cater for and appeal to?
That's a tough one. I mean, we want to shift the mindset from, I'm going to put some money right now and I'm going to make a profit right now, into I'm going to put some money in here and it's going to take a while, but I'll be part of the project and I'll oversee their developments, and then I'll grow with the team. So we're moving towards, as I said, like a be your own VC mindset. It's going to take a while, because if changing a habit takes 60 days, changing a mindset can take years. But we're willing to experiment with that and try.
From my point of view, that sounds really exciting. I got into the space in 2017. So right, just as we saw so many people come in because Bitcoin wasn't doing its crazy hockey stick at the time that I came in, first interested in 2016. And then seeing, as you mentioned and touched on before, Roxana, what is being built during what we call the crypto winter. The people who are actually here because they recognize the solutions that can be provided to real world problems that this technology can do. And so you have the opportunity to learn about investing, and also about investing into the projects and being part of that solution, as opposed to, I'm just here and I don't care if it's pump and dump, because as long as I get the pump and dump on the right way, then I've made my money and I'm happy. So that's really exciting. We only have 6 minutes left. So what I would like to, and I'll start with you, Antoine, what I'd like to ask each of you is, where do you still see the challenges that we have? What are the challenges that we currently got? We've spoken about what the benefits of the Launchpads do, but where do we still see the challenges? And then also, if you want to add on to that, or we can come back around, what does the future look like in the next few years?
So I think it's not really about what's missing for me, because I believe we tend to have a certain number of tools that we did not have like 2 years or 3 years ago, especially in the DeFi space. But I just want to point out the fact that depending on from DGen to VC, that's a nice comment. But yeah, the audience, depending on each chain, can be very different. So for example, at ours, since we're deployed on various chains, especially I will name ETH. So ETH audience was somehow not ready yet, like 1 year ago or 1.5 years ago, hence the liquidity lockers, for example. And now we're witnessing some kind of the same stage where ETH chain participants, member holders, whatever, users were 1 year ago, 1.5 years ago, but on BSC. So BSC audience is still to grow. There is a lot of education, or it's not really education, but it's like responsibility. The audience is more aligned with a kind of ICO 2017 season, where it's all about a quick buck and quick profit. And I think it also, the challenge also comes from the market phase we're in at the moment, because I think we all noticed over the power of meme coins, of shinning, of this is a market phase that is, in my opinion, temporary. So this is also something that does not really contribute for us all in this room as building projects to educate and to foster the education of people about how to DYOR, how to understand DeFi protocols, how to avoid scammy peeps, wherever. So this is the first one, the education. And the second one is sometimes one of the main challenges, it's not even we face it, but I think most of the projects that include governance can face it, because the governance in a decentralized way is very beautiful on the paper, and I'm a strong believer about that. And it's also something that can be once applicable is absolutely amazing. But maybe it also comes back to the education as well. But my point here is, we need to make sure that people that are part of a DAO, of an organization, of a community, are looking for the benefit of the community as a whole, and not for I won't say selfish, because selfish is not really the appropriate term, but it's more like a shorter term approach when it comes to governance, and that's why I believe this is also a challenge on that. Yeah.
So it's recognizing that your self-interest is in making the community better rather than what.
Sorry.
So it's
Sorry,
in recognizing that your self-interest is in adding to the whole community and the whole project rather than extracting from it.
Yeah, exactly. It's kind of the vibe we need to move forward to, and obviously, like Roxana told a few minutes ago, it takes a lot of time to reach there, and I think we still have some time to continue building it. 5 years maybe, could be more.
Wonderful. And John, challenges in the future in 60 seconds.
Well, I think challenges, Antoine nailed it, is education. I'll just focus on that. Like, even just talking to people I know, like bringing it down to a level that everyone can understand it in the crypto industry is one thing, but bringing it down, DeFi down to levels that, you know, the common person working construction, not saying that they don't understand, but like I'm saying, like people that are really struggling with regular finance, trying to explain DeFi to them, let alone crypto or Bitcoin, is a huge challenge, let alone, hey, just click that little thing in your internet and connect your wallet with all your money. Like, they're not going to do that. So figuring out that gap in education is huge. And then also regulations going forward around the world, especially in the US, Singapore, Asian markets, China, and how Launchpads attach themselves to these projects and how they raise the funds. That's a huge challenge.
Very much so, yes. And Roxana, would you like to close with your thoughts on challenges and the future?
I see two major challenges. One is the financial education. We got to work on that. And in this sense, we decided to do a couple of free courses for Cointelligence Academy. So we're just going to explain to people that it's quite easy to use Launchpads and what it involves. And then the second challenge that I see is smart contract interoperability. So a lot of you have all these protocols, and it's very hard to have bridges between them. And multi-chain tech isn't perfect. So we're still looking for composability and interoperability between smart contracts. So you basically need an environment where these smart contracts can be uploaded and then connected independent if they're on ETH or Solana or Polkadot, for example. So we're not there yet.
And I was going to suggest that as a panelist, they could drop the best way for anyone who wanted to discover more about each of the launchpads into the comments. I'm not sure how to do that. So if you know how to do that, please go ahead and do that, Antoine, John, and Roxana. And Roxana, you have a top tip for a crypto project who wants to approach any launchpad. Would you like to share that with them?
Please, when you're sending a deck, do not send an empty email. Send a couple of words about yourself, attach the PDF, and then send it with a subject line, because most of the time we use corporate accounts from Microsoft or Google Cloud, and most of these messages are completely filtered out by default by the server because it just appears like spam. So always keep that in mind, that there are so many people sending out just an empty message with a deck. It's 2021, people. Let's do it right.
Thank you so much, Roxana, John, and Antoine. I have so many more questions for you, but our time is up. I really appreciate you sharing your insights with us. Thank you.
May I just have one word? I just want to say that Hayden Adams is a genius. That's it for me.
Wonderful. Okay, so we seem to still be live. If you want to say anything else, feel free to do so.
Thank you for a great job, Bridget. Thank you so much.
Thanks for moderating, Bridget. And if anyone wants to reach out to YFDAI, you can get us on Twitter at YFDAIF and on the web at yfdai.finance.
And one of the things that I would like to invite, well, I'm definitely going to invite Roxana and Antoine, as I've already spoken about this, is how we get more gender equality into the ecosystem. So we've spoken about financial education. I think there are some key points that have been raised here that would really appeal to a lot of women to be able to attract them into the space. So perhaps the four of us could have a conversation around that a separate time.
Happy to take it offline.
Yeah, definitely.
Thank
Great
you very
meeting everyone. Have a
Thanks
good
again,
day.
everybody.